Welcome back to The Chosen Life. I'm your host, The Chosen Lawyer. We're on episode 63, believe it or not, in our second season. And back, one of our regular co-hosts, he is the money man from Rain Finance, the one, the only, Zachary Rain. Zach, welcome back to The Chosen Life.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to these. When I mark it off on my schedule, I see it coming, I go, oh, it's going to be a good day.
It's going to be a great day, Zach. So I'm going to start off the episode today, just letting you know a little commentary, and then we're going to have a bunch of topics on the agenda. But I'm listening to the radio in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, 10:50 a.m. And, they're talking to Bruno from Woodbridge. And Bruno from Woodbridge, they're asking him, how did you enjoy the game last night? Being at the time of taping, we had our game last night. The Maple Leafs played the Buffalo Sabres. And Bruno comes on and he's like, oh, I already booked off my schedule for after the Stanley Cup because I'm going to be celebrating for a week for that parade. It's going to be the greatest parade ever. We got the greatest hockey line ever. This is can't miss now with O'Reilly and Marner. So Maple Leaf fans in Woodbridge are dancing up and down the streets today after watching that line gelling. So we're going to be getting into that, Zach. But I got to ask you, opening question, how good does it feel to be a Maple Leaf fan right now?
It feels good. I wouldn't say it feels great yet, but it definitely feels good. So looking forward to it.
Well, Kyle Dubas, I think, got a wind of our program today because today is all about insurance. So Kyle Dubas, going into the playoffs, said, I need me some insurance. So he contacted the insurance providers, being the St. Louis Blues, and said, can you help me out with some insurance? And he acquired some insurance policies for the playoffs. But
Absolutely.
most of us, Zach, are not hockey teams or hockey players. But in our daily lives, we tend to not realize how much we need insurance until we get into those situations. And so I want to ask you today as the opening topic for general life money sense before we get into hockey, because there's a lot of hockey talk obviously, as we head into the deadline, the trade deadline, and the playoffs. But, the average person sent out there in Ontario, Canada, could be anywhere in Canada, in the US, worldwide. What kinds of insurances do people need to have in life and generally don't have?
That's a good question. With respect to the life side of things, because that's what I mainly focus on. I don't touch the home, auto, jewelry, property, casualty, that kind of thing. The most popular kind of life insurance is term life insurance. A lot of people don't have that. That's essentially just renting basic life insurance. And like you'd be so surprised by the amount of people that don't have what they need. Not entirely their own fault. I'll tell you a story actually too about a case that I'm working on right now, where this young man, self-employed individual, him and his son, single parents, came to me a couple months ago saying, Zachary, we just did our insurance, but we're looking for financial planning, and our insurance guy doesn't do our financial planning as well. So we wanted to speak with you. So I said, okay, no problem. I said, bring over your insurance. And this is information I'm going to need for everything. And let's get on to doing some financial planning. And so we're sitting there, and naturally the first step in any financial plan is the fact find component, which is, what are we working with, right? What kind of income do we have? What kind of disposables? What are our investments? Do we have mortgage, rent, property, tax, all these things, right? What's our budget look like? And as we're going through and I get into the building phase, we get into starting insurance. Insurance is the foundation of any financial plan. Any insurance advisor or financial planner, whatever you want to call it, worth their snuff will tell you that, okay? And so I said, okay, you just got your insurance, so it must be good. I'm hoping that they built it properly. And I start looking through it, and I'm thinking to myself, well, with respect to insurances, you don't have to be a genius or an insurance advisor to figure it out. The most likely type of insurance to be sold is term life insurance. Okay, why? It's the cheapest. And to most people, they're most afraid of death. Statistically, it's the number one sold product in the life insurance industry. So I figure term life insurance, guaranteed to have some of that. Then you see a self-employed single parent, which means they produce their own income. They have a kid, and if their income isn't there, they have no income. They don't have a secondary spouse to support themselves, right? So you think, well, for sure, they're going to have some good disability insurance, right? And then we make our way down, maybe some critical illness insurance, maybe some permanent life insurance. And this case was exactly the problem that I see out there with respect to people not having the right insurances. Okay. First thing I saw, no term life insurance. All right. She has a kid, he has a kid. Okay. He has one kid that he is solely responsible for and no life insurance. God forbid something happens to him. This kid has no financial stability moving forward whatsoever. Maybe they have a friend, a grandparent, a cousin, a brother, or an uncle, whatever it may be, to take care of them, but they have no financial support moving forward. And I thought to myself, what kind of parent does that? So I asked the person, I said, when speaking with your insurance advisor, did they ask you about term life insurance? And he looks at me with this confused face saying, what the hell are you talking about? And I'm like, term life insurance, life insurance, you buy a large amount, you buy it for a set period of term, maybe term 10 years, maybe 20 years, whatever it may be. And it covers you for that period. And they looked at me like I was in outer space. And I'm like, what? I was so confused. So anyways, and again, because I don't like to speak poorly about other advisors, I just moved on. And I said, okay, let's take a look at the disability insurance, right? This is a self-employed individual who's a professional, right? Someone just like yourself, John, right? They have a very, as Liam Neeson would say, they have a very particular set of skills, okay? Which means they earn an income for those set of skills, and they can't go and just do any job to replace that income. It's what they're good at. It's what they have experience with. And this person was no different. And so I looked at their disability insurance, and when I tell you that this is the most basic disability insurance I've ever seen in my life, I mean, I didn't know what this insurance advisor was doing. And then on top of that, it wasn't even remotely enough coverage. It was, $2,500 for a person who needs $10,500 a month. Like, so I was just sitting there and I was very upset on their behalf, on the client's behalf, because, there's only so many ways you can say, I'm sorry, but you got screwed in a nice way, which sucks. Right. So when we're talking about insurance and the lack of coverage that people have, you have to think about the priorities, right? Like, what's the most important thing? What's all of our greatest assets?
For most people, I would say it's real estate and whatever investments they have.
Let's see. And while you have the same answer that everybody does, you're not right. Everyone's yeah, I know, right? Everybody's greatest asset is their ability to earn income. Your ability to earn income is what saves you money. It's what allows you to pay for the mortgage, to pay for the assets to grow, right? So without your ability to earn an income, you're in trouble. And disability insurance is by far the most important. Forget about, the statisticians and the actuaries and people like me sitting in the back of the room saying, well, this is the likelihood of this and this is the likelihood of that. The likelihood of a person getting disabled rather than dying in their working life is so much higher that it is absolutely nuts to me that disability insurance is the most undersold product out there. It's the most undersold, undervalued, under advertised, everything. Okay. If you are a self-employed individual, if you are a professional, or even if you are just the average employee without a disability insurance benefit plan at your work, you absolutely need to have disability insurance unless you're rich. If you're worth millions and millions and millions of dollars, we can discuss that later, in which case it's still good to have, but we can discuss that at a different point. But if you're the average Joe, okay, average Jack or Jill, just working away, trying to earn an income, having financial independence to support yourself, to support all these things, you don't have disability insurance. You are going to potentially ruin your financial position. Okay. In praying to God that you're not going to get disabled is not an insurance policy. Okay. So disability insurance is by far the most undersold product and underused. Yes.
I got a question, Zach.
Okay, let's do it.
So they say in life that there are two certainties, right?
Yes.
Death and taxes.
My business, baby. Yeah.
Right? Most people, unfortunately, the Jack and Jills out there, they take these two certainties and they do this. They just cover their eyes and they're saying, I'm just going to hope for the best. I've heard of this thing called death.
Yeah.
Seen it happen. Don't quite think it's going to happen to me. And I'll just take my chances because I'll be dead anyways. So what's the difference? And then also taxes. You know, taxes are coming. And how many people say, well, I'll just pay whatever I got to pay in taxes in life. And I'm just not going to worry about it. And it's amazing how if people just worked with a professional or professionals and took their time and planned around death and taxes, they can make their lives a lot better and make the lives of their loved ones much better. True or false?
Absolutely true. And you see it too. You must see it all the time with wills, right? Like I do financial planning, power of attorney, will, life insurance, disability insurance. Like these are foundational things, guys. Okay. Very, very basic. You have to have these things. And then on top of that, there's other things to have, right? Like, people don't think about probate in Ontario, and probate in Ontario is 1.5%. So if you've got, a couple $100,000 of assets at end of life, okay, you're going to be losing upwards of $15,000, $30,000, just because, right? If you have hundreds of thousands of assets, like why, right? Millions of dollars of assets, your house goes through probate, everything goes through probate. So I don't know. People don't think about these things. Maybe they're willfully blind, but hey, that's our job, right? That's what we're here to do. You and me, we're here to make sure that people make sure that they have wills, they have power of attorneys, right? To cover your eyes and say what happens when I'm gone is not my problem is one way of thinking about it. I wouldn't say it's the right or the wrong way of thinking about it, because to each their own. But what I am going to say is while you are alive, you are just hurting yourself by not having, things like disability insurance and a power of attorney.
I would say if we had the three-headed monster or the three-headed angel, so to speak, it'd be yourself as a financial advisor, myself as a lawyer, and then the accountant. If there's
Absolutely.
three people that are going to help direct you, put it on paper, and create a plan for you as far as helping with taxes, helping with death, and where things are going to go, it's very, very smart planning for your own life plus those of your loved ones. It's very unfortunate, Zach, when you come to the situation of those loved ones when they give you that knock on the door and mom or dad passed away, my spouse passed away, they were very young, they didn't have a will, they didn't have insurance. Now I never took care of the bills, so I'm left now with a whack of bills, and I don't really know what I own, and not sure what I'm gonna do for income. What do I do now?
Yeah,
Versus
it's rough.
creating the plan, and then you contact the professionals and you say, unfortunately, so and so passed away, but we had a plan for this. Let's go execute this plan now so I can help take care of my children. I can help take care of myself. And I don't have to worry about money for the rest of my life. Like it's a scary proposition, even for kids out there. I've seen this time and time again as well. You got like two or three siblings, right? And last parent passes away, and now we got to deal with the cottage. Now we got to deal with bank accounts, investments. And, we're all making decisions together, but one of them is really flaky and one of them is very bossy, and we can't make any decisions together. So what do we do? Good Lord, Zach, it never ends. And
You know,
sorry, I did not name any names, but you know who you are.
yeah, exactly. I'm going through this with clients right now, so and I know you're hitting home here. Listen, I was
You get a
speaking.
phone call every day. I'm really sorry to bother you.
Yeah.
No, you're not, because you keep doing it. And I can keep telling you the same advice over and over, especially Zach, right? When you have people making decisions and they're not professionals in it, really help to get on the same page together and work together instead of against each other, right? That might help a bit.
It might. I was just speaking about this with my uncle. My uncle he's a financial planner as well. Very, very, very successful financial planner. Man, when he talks, it's like I'm speaking with Gandhi. Anyways, we were just talking about the wealth transfer that's going to happen over these next 5 to 10 years, right? Trillions of dollars they're projecting. And so we were sitting there thinking, imagine of this trillions of dollars of wealth transfers, how much of it is going to be just purely inefficient? And make it a call to action, right? And that's what I'm going to do. I'm working with my marketing team right now on making some videos and some content for it. But let this be a call to action for our viewers. Speak with your parents, speak with your loved ones, make sure that they have all of their affairs in order. Get things through generations, create multi-generational wealth in the most efficient way, right? Find a way to pass probate. And there are, I offer a lot of them. So does John. So we know, save yourself 1.5% at the very least, save yourself 5% of executor fees at the very least, right? And that's the most minimal planning it takes both of us an hour or two to do. All right. Go through everything so that you don't have the problem between these siblings. You don't have the bossy one telling the one who doesn't really care at all what to do and needing both signatures, and then the one who doesn't care realizing, oh, maybe I should care, and arguing with the bossy one now. Okay. Do it so that it's efficient. You got a plan in place and you're not wasting time and or money. Right? Especially when loved ones pass. The last thing you want to think about is money, right? You want to think about grieving, about celebrating their lives, all of these things. So get all the planning done in advance, get it done in order properly, and then there should be no problems on the financial side of things.
Well, you've created some very good plans for Jack and Jill and for people that are listening in, as every episode, especially when Zachary Rain is on, you hit the subscribe button, notification bell to get future episodes, getting all this great information. Write in the comments on social media, on YouTube, all your questions for Zach, the money man. He reads them all, he answers them, or we'll talk. Even some of them come on air at times when they're really, really good. And we highly encourage people, please, to send in your questions, make it interactive. We'd love to hear from you, and Zach is here to help. Now, one professional who's trying to build generational wealth and is trying to do a very good job of it, but unfortunately is taking him time, is Mr. Kyle Dubas.
Oh, I knew this one was coming.
So Kyle Dubas, listening to the episode, knows this is an insurance episode. Say, I'm smarter than you guys think, so I'm going to beat the deadline, and I'm going to mortgage some future assets, and I'm going to get these teams to pick up most of the salaries, bring me Ryan O'Reilly, and bring me Noel Acciari.
Acciari, yeah.
Like Atari, but Acciari.
Yeah.
That's how you remember it. So Noel Acciari, Ryan O'Reilly make their way to Toronto, and I'm in Montreal watching WWE Elimination Chamber, one of the pay-per-views, having a grand old time. But the Canadians are not there because they decide to go to Toronto, and they face off against the Leafs in Ryan O'Reilly's debut. And O'Reilly's now been there for 3 games as of this taping, and him and his line mates just absolutely slaughtered the Sabres.
Oh boy.
And the game should have been much more of a bigger spread than it was, and we'll get into that in a second. But first of all, Zach, I gotta hear this is coming down the pipeline. O'Reilly and Acciari are coming to Toronto. Share with us your thoughts, and when you heard everything the way it went down, do you like this trade, and where are we at with O'Reilly?
So I definitely like the trade, because I'm a hockey nerd and I'm way too invested in hockey. I was reading, just like we do in here and how I prepare for this. I was reading all of the speculation, and the idea of Ryan O'Reilly was always a great one to me, right? He's an Ontario kid, a couple hours out away from Toronto. So he was definitely watching the Leafs growing up. He probably has some picture of him in his Toronto Maple Leaf pajamas as a kid too. He is.
Notice who his line mate was.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what he is. He's literally Tavares 2.0, just bigger and stronger. And he's got that championship pedigree, which you gotta love. And he is 150,000% an insurance policy for Tavares and or even Matthews at this point. Very versatile, and he's not afraid to throw his weight. Right? He's not going to go throw haymakers or punches, but he'll get in there and one of my favorite things, the first game I watched him, he finishes his checks. He plays the body. Thank you. Okay. So I was very happy with that trade. I was hoping it was going to happen. I know a lot of people weren't happy with Ryan O'Reilly because he's having a down year, but so many circumstances mitigating his down year that's I couldn't even consider it. And he's going to come at the least like he already has now in game 2-3, and he's just going to light it up. That line is going to be first line pedigree, no question. So very happy with that.
So Edmonton calls you up and says, okay, we're really liking what Marner and O'Reilly are doing here with Tavares. So we'll take those 3. We'll give you Draisaitl. We'll give you McDavid. Do you make that trade?
Yeah.
Okay. Just double checking.
Yeah, but that's not gonna happen.
That's not gonna happen.
No.
But okay. But the other couple of things which really excite me also. Former captain,
yeah,
and Conn Smythe winner, right?
Yeah,
This
yeah,
guy did it on the biggest stage.
absolutely.
He still remembers it very clearly. He can walk the rest of his teammates through this, especially about how to win an opening round. So, on many levels, I think this is I mean, if your whole team is filled with O'Reillys, I think you're really, really happy. It sounds like this is a fit on every possible level. This is awesome.
I love it. He's also a major face-off guy, which at the end of the day, any hockey coach will tell you, if you win the face-off, you control the play right from the get-go, and having the puck is a lot easier to play with than not having the puck. So that's a great thing. But I don't want anybody to undervalue what Noel Acciari brings, because I've been watching this guy play. I watched him play in Florida. I'm pretty sure he played for Boston. And I know he's just started playing a stint now um, with St. Louis before he came over here to Toronto. But he is going to be so important for us, especially coming down the line. God willing, we get past the first round. He's going to be so important. He's major depth, another physical presence, defensively, just a coach's dream. So he's going to be huge. Like you guys watch, mark my words. All right, Noel Acciari is going to be a major influence in the Leafs taking on further depth in the playoffs this year.
So we like this move on a lot of levels. What about what was given up? How was put structured together? I gotta say, for what you picked up, you didn't give up Matthew Nyes. You got salary picked up because salary is very important in the salary cap era. I think that Dubas did as best as he could to get the value of what he got for today. I don't know what's going to come in the offseason, but for today
I
and into the
agree.
playoffs, I think you have to make this move every day of the week.
I agree. I think, listen, the reality is that they got rid of a first, second, and third. Essentially, they got a third back from Minnesota for some cap, and I don't, I don't love the idea of giving up a first, second, and a third. But it's like Dubas said, and it's just like we practice in real life. Bird in the hand is better than two in the bush, right? You know what you're getting with Ryan O'Reilly. You know what you're getting with Noel Acciari. You know that there is a very strong chance that you lose two or three players by the end of the next 2 years, two, three of your major players by the end of the next 2, 3 years. Just because contracts are going to be renegotiated, and clearly some of the Leafs are selfish enough to ask for as much money as they did to begin with, and don't really care about franchising or not franchising, about screwing franchise future by asking for $11.5 million every year. So you take what you get with him right now, with them right now, and on top of that, it's like you said, they have sure things in Niemela and Nyes to a certain extent. And so the fact that they were able to keep those two, which are really, really key, a couple of the Finns that as well that are really good hockey players. We got a Russian goalie too that's on the up and up. The fact that you were to keep all of those players is amazing. And on top of that, you didn't give up a roster player. And the roster players are here for the real big move, right? Like everybody thought that Ryan O'Reilly and Acciari are going to be the big one. I don't even think that's going to be the biggest move Dubas makes. So, we got news today. If you had a second to check your phone, Muzzin's done. He's not playing the rest of the year, not playing the rest of the playoffs. As far as he's concerned, his career is probably over, which means that is a major hole right there that they need to fill. And if you ask me, it's a number one D, a number one or two D at the least, because Ryan O'Reilly. See, this is going to get confusing now. Morgan Riley is in no way, shape, or form a number one defenseman.
Well, that's a handful there. So first of all, O'Reilly and Acciari, are they going to be back next year with the Leafs? What's your gut on that? Because originally Dubas said, I'm not getting rentals, but then it's also I'm not getting rentals by giving up major pieces. So he did not give up those major pieces. So he went with the rental. But what is your gut feeling? Will one or both of those guys be back next season?
I I wouldn't be too sure about Acciari. I think that he's really going to show his value in the playoff run this year, and he's going to want excessive money. Ryan O'Reilly, Dubas already said, in his press conference, we're not going to talk about that. We need to see how he fits with the team, how he meshes with everybody, blah, 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 blah. I see him coming back. I would venture to say that he left St. Louis going, oh, I'm for sure going to be back in St. Louis next year, no problem. And I am confident enough that within the next week, he's going to be texting his wife saying, start looking for houses in Toronto. Her family's here, his family's here. He grew up outside of the city. It's the mecca of hockey, like he says, and he's really going to enjoy playing here. And I think he'll be able to sign at a team friendly as well, just because he's made a whole bunch of money in his career. And He's got the Stanley Cup. So
If I was Dubas, I would bring my players and their agents for a field trip, take them down to Boston, have them watch the Bruins, and understand why they're able to do what they did, because they all became a team and did it for the team and had to
oh
take
yes.
hits for the team. But that's how you keep all your players together, and that's how you get to succeed together and gel together. And Boston's been very good at that. And I agree with you. What you're saying, if we had unlimited money, it's not an issue. But when you have a cap and you want to stay and you want to win, but you want the maximum amount of money, well, you have a choice in life. You can go make the maximum amount of money and go play in Columbus, or you can play in Toronto. So that's things to think about. So
Mhm.
my sources told me the same thing on Muzzin for a while, and Dubas came out and said, "Look, he's got a young family. Got to think about his health long term. He's done. So we're gonna
Yeah.
say bye to Muzzin. It's fine." Uh, Luke Shen has his bags back packed by the door, ready to go at any moment now. Is he heading back to Toronto? What's the scoop
No.
there? No, not Shen.
I don't think so. I think the Leafs already have a poor man's version of Shen and Jordy Ben,
Okay.
or maybe even an equivalent version of him and Jordy Ben. I don't think they need another Luke Shen. They need a number one defenseman. It's like everybody says, or at least you can see now with the Leafs in the Ryan O'Reilly trade. The second you slot someone up higher, it pushes everybody else down, right? So everybody's screaming, screaming, screaming for depth. Well, you can create depth, as an externality of an actual top trade. You bring Ryan O'Reilly into the mix. Next thing you know, you have Kerfoot, Engvall, and or Yarnmark on, or Yarncroke. You have Kylie Yarncroke down on the third, fourth line. Okay, so now you've just already improved your depth. I think that they need a difference maker, a serious difference maker in their top four defense.
Well, a guy who watches the show, I'm sure, very regularly and has been convinced that he's coming to Toronto for some time is Patrick Kane. And Patrick Kane sees the O'Reilly trade go down. He says, I'm going to show Zach and the chosen lawyer. And he goes and gets a hat trick and 4 points just to spite us. So Patrick might have something to do also with the Rangers and, getting Tarasenko. But look, we've been convinced for some time that Kane is heading over here. With O'Reilly here, is there room in the inn for Patrick Kane? No,
No,
no.
no,
Too
and
soon.
not to mention he doesn't look like he wants to come to the Leafs. I don't blame. Listen, as a Leafs fan, would you want what Patrick Kane brings? Yes, but would you want it instead of someone like Ryan O'Reilly? Probably not. Right? Ryan O'Reilly is a better fit for what the Leafs need.
If I was Patrick Kane, I would join Aaron Rodgers in the solitary chamber that he went to for darkness meditation for 4 days and figure out what he wants to do with his life, especially with Tays down now, which is really, really sad to hear.
It's
And,
unfortunate.
the ship is sinking and Connor Bedard is packing his bags to Chicago. The league is hoping and he's probably hoping. So, yeah, Kane, you never know, but I agree. I don't see it now at this stage. But one major issue, we're back to it again. We're up and down and all around, right? So Samsonov is now the clear number one and doing what better than most on most days. Matt Murray is confusing the heck out of everybody. He's gone on long-term injury reserve. Is he going to be back for the playoffs? Is this a cap move? What the heck is going on with Matt Murray? And do we need to go look for a replacement, or is this just under the guise of Murray's healthy but not healthy, and we're not going to get another goaltender? Where do you see this going with the Leafs in the goaltending situation?
I think that they're going to give Joseph Wall the time that he needs in the NHL to grow because, after this year, their goaltending situation really is a massive question mark. So maybe he is the guy, let him grow a little bit. Samsonov is cruising. Is he playing his best hockey as of now? No. Is he playing good enough? I would think so. Is Matt Murray fine? Absolutely. Is he going to be around in the playoffs? No question. No doubt in my mind. Come game one, it'll be Samsonov and Murray duking it out for number one position. At the end of the day, and it's like we said months ago when we filmed, our initial podcast about, the Matt Murray acquisition, which was all he needs to do is play game seven, right? Matt Murray, I think I don't know, don't quote me on this, but I think he's like the best game seven record of any goalie ever. He comes in, plays the one game, wins, lights out, and then Samsonov can go back in net. So
I heard James Reimer and Freddie Anderson might be available. Are you interested?
Freddie Anderson. There's a reason that playing on a team as stacked as Carolina, they haven't been able to get through in the playoffs, and it's certainly not poor coaching or lack of talent.
But there are the occasional goaltenders out there. But my sense, based on what you're saying, is uh, you only have so many resources and money to go around. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna be for the D. So you'd rather have a stronger D and take your chance with the goaltending than try to upgrade your goaltending and stick with this defense.
I think the reality is that the only goalie out there available right now that's actually worth what they're asking, or at least worth looking at, forget about what they're asking, is Thatcher Demko. And, the rumors from me reading online are that, they want 13 first and then also your firstborn child for Thatcher Demko, which is an absolutely crazy price to pay. You know, to me, goaltending is the most important position on the team. It's always been that way. But, you know, Avalanche got through with Darcy Kemper. The Washington Capitals got through with Braden Holtby. So you have to wonder if you build the team in front of them well enough, then is just well enough as a goalie going to get you there? So I don't know. I think a Samsonov and Murray duo should be able to get the job done.
So as we're now entering the second half of the NHL season, we're just past the midpoint mark, and you're reflecting on where the NHL season's gone. Obviously, still a lot more hockey to be played. But at this point, report card wise, if I tell you which team most pleasantly surprised you in a good way, and which team most disappointed you in NHL at this point, which would you say and why?
Which team most pleasantly surprised me?
Mm-hmm.
I want to say the Kings or the Sabres. Yeah. I think they've done an amazing job. I think the Sabres are much further in their rebuild than people thought, maybe than they even initially thought. I think the Kings, for a team of a bunch of rejects, which they're a team of a bunch of players that every other team didn't want. They've done a great job, and they're in the hunt. Like they're I want to say a goalie away from being a really good hockey team. So they are definitely a pleasant surprise. Biggest disappointment for me this year thus far, I want to say the Rangers. Like up until this Tarasenko trade, they've been bad. Like they have been at 500 at best. And for a team that made a run over the last couple of years, and a team that has as much talent as they do on the defensive side of things to begin with, right? Like they have the Vezina winner in last year in Shesterkin. They have Adam Fox, who's world class right now. They have K'Andre Miller, who's playing like he's Bobby Orr at 6'7". Jacob Trouba as your fifth defenseman can't be a bad thing. And then look at all the talent they have up front, all the first rounders that they have up front, and they just can't figure it out. I'm hoping that now with Tarasenko, it looks like they're starting to really, gain some pace. But those would be my teams. I don't know. What about you?
That's very interesting, actually, because I thought we would mirror our. No, we're not even close to each other. Well, I have totally different teams. So the teams that most surprised me, actually, and I was kind of debating on it of which one I was going to go with. So I'm kind of stuck. If I had to pick one, I would actually say the Devils and then the Red Wings.
Okay.
Didn't see either of those doing anything.
The Devils are a
remotely.
good pick. The Red Wings I saw.
You saw that, eh?
Yeah,
Like
my little brother and I have been calling that for years.
I mean,
Stevie Y, man, can't doubt him.
Steve Yzerman, what he built in Tampa, and it is Steve Yzerman. Don't have any mistake about it. I just thought the rebuild was going to take a lot longer. I like Larkin, I like Bertuzzi, but I still thought they're going to stink for a while. And the Devils had talent, but it just seemed like they were in disarray. Maybe because playing, in the same arena as the Nets, maybe it just confuses them. I don't know, but man, they're looking good. They're both teams are really pleasantly really nice, and Devils are saying everybody's making moves. We got to make some moves too, so they're not done yet either. I don't think. And the team that most disappointed me, actually, I would say, and this year and last year, is the Islanders. I just felt that they should be doing more. They got Lamoriello. Lamoriello's a scary guy. Okay, like make no mistake about it. I remember Zach back in my day, and we're talking like, man, you're talking like 30 years ago almost. Like I said, 30 years ago, I'm a youngster running around in the Buffalo Odd, and you got practice, and you got the Devils and the Sabres, right?
Mm-hmm.
And talking to a couple of the Devils players there. Brad May got us into practice, by the way, nice guy. So we're in
Mm,
there
that's
with
good.
Brad May and a couple Devils players, and they're like, I can't talk to you for too long. Lamarillo sees us, he's gonna kill me. And like Corey Schwab was coming by, and he had a broken stick. It's like, hey Corey, can you pass a stick? No, no, no. Lou takes all the sticks. Lou would kill me if I gave away a stick. Cannot, these are grown athletes, and they're still making good money back then, and they were terrified of Lamarillo. So I don't know if much has changed, but that person just commands respect. Look at where the Leafs were at the point when they had him, Dubas, and Hunter, and it would have been so nice if we could have kept everybody. But the Islanders, I expected more out of them, and I love the move that they made there. With Vancouver, and but I don't know. I don't think this year is going to come much for them. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. I don't know what's really the point, but when you got a team led by Lamoriello, you're always going to have a fighting chance. I thought.
I want to agree with you that the Islanders, they have been bad, um, and they have been surprisingly bad. It's hard because I don't think they've built around Barzell as they should. The same way that they built around, for instance, Marner, and Barzell's not as good as Marner, but he's still a very good hockey player with a similar talent set of skills, very agile with the puck and pass the puck well, great vision. I don't think they've built around him like they should. And the thing with here's a good way of thinking of the Islanders. Okay. Every player on the Islanders is above average. Okay. Right. That's pretty much about it. All right. With the exception probably to Barzell and now potentially Horvat. Everyone else is just above average. Okay. For their position. So their fourth liner is just above average for a fourth liner. Their second liner is just above average for a second liner. Their goaltender is just above average for first goal for number one goalie. They don't have any play killers or game killers or deciders, what are deciding factors, whatever you want to call them, right? They don't have that one person who will go out there, say, this game is over because I said the game is over. And that's it, right? No McDavid, no Matthews, not even Jack Hughes right now, who's on a tear. Ovechkin, even Patrick Kane, who on the worst team in the NHL by far decides to say, you know what, screw you, Toronto, and goes and puts three in the back of the net in style and ease. They don't have anybody like that. So, I don't think that they're ever really going to be that deciding team until you get to that point.
Islanders goalie is a unrestricted free agent at the end of the year, is he not?
I don't remember. I don't know.
I could have sworn he is, but I don't see Lamoriello helping out the Leafs in that capacity too much.
No, the Leafs, Lamoriello won't help the Leafs out for anything. Bad
As we,
blood.
as we wrap up today's episode, I got a final thought for you,
Okay.
and this one came from my son actually. He says to me, "Dad, we're in Montreal, right?" And he hears that the Canadians are playing the Leafs in Toronto, and we're there watching wrestling, having a great time. Says to me, I just have a poster on my wall with a bunch of players on it. One of them was PK Subban. How's PK doing this year? I said to him, PK retired actually, son. He says to me, why didn't the Leafs get him? And I said to him, that's a good question. I'm going to ask Zach. Zach, as we finish off today's episode, why is PK Subban not in the Maple Leafs uniform this season?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. It's a thought I've had for a while too. Even at the low point in his career that he had, over the last couple of years, he was still good enough to be a number 5, 6 defenseman on the Leafs. So why? I don't know. They're eating his contract, whatever's left of it, anyways. So that one was a surprise to me too. I think PK had other things going on in his life that he was more stressed out about potentially, which quick Google search can tell you what.
I'm
But
sure he had some good financial planning there, Zach. That's what I
yeah,
heard.
yeah, exactly. Um, he had some other things going on. I don't know. It's a hard question. I wondered it too. To me, he's similar just to like Dustin Bufflin in the respect that they could have definitely kept going. Bufflin got a little bit screwed by the Jets, but I don't know what's going on with Subban. I don't see why they couldn't have kept playing, and I really don't understand why he wouldn't come play for the Leafs, even as a 5-6.
Couldn't Subban go down to Newmarket, hang out with Gary Roberts, do some skating drills, and in 1 month time be in shape for the playoffs?
I don't know. I think he may be too far removed. He's a partier to PK, so I think he's loving the analyst lifestyle now too.
I've noticed those analysts once they get in there, they really enjoy that, and it's a
It's
lot
a party.
safer. a lot
Yeah.
safer as well. As Tom Brady, who's going to be making what 30, 40 million a year as an analyst. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I know, right? He's making more money as an analyst than he did in his career.
And you and I would be happy to do that for 10% of that. So
Oh, no problem. I'd be happy to do it for even less than 10%.
Zach, no, as your lawyer, I'm telling you right now, minimum 3 mil. So
Okay, sorry. You're right. You're right. I have celebrity here that I need to account for too.
we need to negotiate here. We can't give them our bottom line price first. So thank you again for sharing the wisdom today on the need for insurance and understanding, metaphors in life with sports, how in hockey, as playoffs come, you need to handle your insurance. Imagine in your own life, your life is always heading into playoff mode. Always think ahead on how you're going to get insurance because you don't want to be caught with too many injuries and have nobody to skate on the fourth line. So, hockey and life are very much metaphors for one another.
That was beautiful.
Thank you. I try my best. It just has to kind of ring together as we put together the episodes. And I assume you were very excited and going into the playoff race. And
Oh yeah, we're
yeah,
cup bound.
do we know yet who we think is going to be the Maple Leafs first round opponent?
I think it's going to end up being Tampa.
If I still have a choice, Zach, I would still rather have Tampa over Boston. Just Boston scares the bejeebers out of Toronto. It's like their boogeyman. It's unbelievable.
Seriously. And I think if they get past Tampa, which I think they will in that first round, it's going to be hard to stop them.
Well, we'll be back with more episodes to discuss that as the playoffs come and more money issues and more financial planning. And definitely encourage again the audience, please send in your questions, whether it's money, hockey, life. We're here to cover you on the chosen life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
As we sum up today's episode, we pull out the guns, right?
Yes, sir.
And we say,
keep on living the chosen life.
cheers.
Cheers.